Welcome back to Tales Arcane and to the third episode of our Heroes of the Highlands campaign, The Fate of the Fallen. We'll get quickly into tonight's session, but as always, a quick shout out to the wonderful Jessica Bowen, art.of.job on Instagram, and of course to Nerdiest Maximus Studios, who provides every bit of music that you will hear tonight and in all of the episodes. Now, let us begin with a quick recap of last week's session.
This statue is of Ranach Kilferson, the brother of the High King of the Kilferson clan. There was a great battle here about 1,000 years ago, and it said that an angel gave him the sword, and he was buried with the sword should anyone in the valley ever need it again, but the tomb is missing and they don't know where it is.
My money is on Erlin Fall Cave, about a day's walk up to the east towards the mountains, a cave behind a waterfall.
You can see that the slab of stone directly behind this sort of huge awakened statue appears to be an arched door. The stone is swarming with jagged runes overlapping in a language that I don't think any of you know. You go up, you put your hands against the door, and it swings inwards. Beyond it, darkness.
Sorry, are we disturbing something? Do you want us to close the door over on our way out?
Oh, no. It's too late for that.
And as that voice echoes, you see two white wings unfurl, framing this figure as the angel appears before you. As we begin tonight's session, you are standing in this dark, cavernous space within the eastern mountains of Glen Erlin. You passed through the waterfall, past the deadly stone guardian that blocked your way, through the rune-encrusted door and into the darkness beyond, where you have been confronted with this pale, very tall, almost marble-like, statue-like figure of what appears to be an angel. Wings have unfurled before you, and the figure now stands about 30 feet away from you, just glimmering in the light of your torch. Is there anything you want to do?
Does the angel have a magic sword?
Give me a perception check.
A 3.
A 3. The angel does not have a magic sword. You can see that from a distance, but you can't see anything else in the room around the angel. So, for all you know, there could be an angel, a magic sword right behind the angel. You just can't see that far into the darkness.
I'm just gonna walk. I'm just gonna walk past the angel and just see if I can see a magic sword. Not paying much attention to the creature in front of me.
You just casually walk past this angel as if you're walking past the local greengrocer. Boglach and Zell, you watch as the angel's head kind of turns slowly, following the progress of this small figure walking past them. Almost just kind of like a human watching the passing of an ant, turns slowly back towards you both and says,
"Now, you have served me well, and for that, you have my gratitude."
And then just begins to walk forward towards the door.
Well, Zell's gonna maybe kind of look at Boglach and be like, I have no idea what to do. This is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, I have no idea what to do either.
And then she's gonna look at the angel and she's gonna say, "Where are you going?"
The angel pauses, now about 15 feet from the door, quite close to you guys now, looming over you. You can see the body has this almost sort of impossibly perfect appearance, like a Greek statue, and yet covering almost every inch of the body, you can see small, thin scratches and the marks of old wounds, as if this figure has been through countless battles and physical trials over however long it has existed. The angel turns slowly towards you, and under that mop of silvery hair, you see two eyes like pale, cold white stars glimmering from the darkness as it looks towards you, and it says,
"I will fulfill my mission. I will re-earn the favor of my god."
What is your mission?
"To kill the man, Ranach."
Do you mean Ranach Kilferson?
Yes, to kill Ranach Kilferson.
He's dead.
And to end his bloodline forever.
Begins to walk forward again.
Your mission's done. Do you know how long you've been trapped in here?
Close to 1,000 of your years. A lifetime for me. When they locked me here, I thought I'd lost. My god was angry. He had given me a task and I'd failed, and yet somehow I knew that I would be given a second chance. I felt it when Ranach died. I know his cursed feet no longer tread this earth, and yet his blood infects this valley like a plague, and I will cleanse the valley.
Who locked you in here?
He's now at the sort of entranceway through which you came, where the sort of crusted door was. He pauses, one hand kind of running almost thoughtfully, wistfully over the runes carved into the wall.
Those who worship the dark powers, those who worship demons.
So who's your
Ranach's
god?
sons. My god is the god of justice, and I will see justice served.
And he walks out of the door.
Zell's gonna like kind of follow behind and be like, why did you have to kill him in the first place? What's, you know, she's kind of like needs some more information here, and also trying to stall.
You follow it. You're out into that hallway space where you fought the Stone Guardian. As you're doing that, Glut, what are you doing back there in the darkness?
I read a sign on the door saying that there was a magic sword in here somewhere, so I'm looking for this magic sword.
You start glancing around. Just give me an investigation check as you look around the space. You've got your torch, so that's going to give you a little bit of a help here.
Oh, that's a 5.
Yeah, you glance around. There's you can kind of see off in the gloom that there's like stuff lying around near the walls, but you're like, that's probably just rocks and stuff. That's probably nothing. You're not seeing anything of any particular use. Boglach, what are you doing right now?
Could I have helped Glut? Because I feel like if Zell's going out, I think Boglach's going to run over to find Glut.
In that case, with the help action, Glut, give me another roll.
Okay, that one is... that one is a 15.
On a 15, you are kind of almost inspired by the presence of your friend coming alongside you. Boglach now looking around as well, and you don't want to let Boglach down, so you look a little bit harder. You actually go over to some of those dark shapes scattered around the walls of the hall. Again, the floor, the ceiling, the walls covered in these jagged runes. You find bodies all around the edges of the hall, twisted, long broken corpses, just barely bones left, most of the bones now crumbling towards dust. The rusted armour they still wear from some ancient time long ago. It seems that around 30 to 40 people have died in this space, all seemingly around the same time, all wearing similar armour, broken blades lying scattered on the floor around them. As you guys are investigating this, we leap back out into the hallway. The angel is approaching the waterfall, which is rumbling down outside. Zell, you're coming alongside. What do you want to say to the angel?
She's scurrying out, and she says, why did you have to kill him in the first place? Why was that your mission?
The angel pauses and says,
It is not my role to educate you on matters that you are not equipped to understand. Know only this, that my cause was pure. Now, as a mark of my gratitude for the role you have played in my redemption, I will give you time to leave the valley. The sun will set 3 times, and then my work will begin.
The wings beat, and in a single motion, he crashes out through the waterfall, water spraying onto you, cold water, almost seeming to wake you up from the strange trance-like silence that seemed to cling around the angel. As he goes out through the waterfall, you hear as the wings beat, and the angel vanishes.
Glut's gonna emerge from the cave, see that the angel's gone, and be like, "Oh, Zell, did you ask the angel about the magic swords? Boglach and I couldn't find it in there."
Zell's silently freaking out right now because this is obviously the complete opposite of what she wanted to happen. So she's kind of like breathing really fast. She's like, "He's gonna kill everyone. He's gonna kill everyone in 3 days. Oh my god, 3 days."
But he said that was like his mission from like his gods.
What are we gonna do? Can we fight and can we?
You wanna fight it?
He's gonna kill everyone. He's gonna kill everyone in 3 days.
3 days. Well, does that really matter? Like, I thought they imprisoned that guy. If people imprison me for that long, like thousands of years, I think I'd be mad about it.
Yeah, but say people were trying to hunt down and kill Plaguestifer, and you locked them away in a cave because they were really wanting to kill Plaguestifer, and then that person came out.
And at that time,
Sometimes you lock
Plaguestifer,
things away for good.
Well,
and at that time, Plaguestifer had loads of babies, and he wanted to kill all the babies as well.
but I'm
Potentially hundreds of babies.
This hypothetical doesn't make sense because you're implying that if someone wanted to hurt my baby, that they would still be breathing afterwards.
Okay, but just hypothetically, if they were, and then they wanted to kill
Are you telling me that
everyone
Angel wants to kill Plaguestifer?
no, oh,
And you just see Plaguestifer
Sure,
just
I
like
feel like-
shaking, just like trembling on like my shoulder. I'm like, oh, it's okay, baby boy.
but then part of Zell's thinking maybe if we say
Yeah.
So
then
It's
maybe
gonna be a conversation later. The Boglax sword gives you a look, Zell, and it's like, yeah, this angel wants to kill the kin or the people that have descended from Rannoch, and probably also Plaguestifer.
I'm gonna quickly cast Speak with Animals and just talk to Plaguestifer. Plaguestifer, I don't know if this came up. Do you have any kids?
Oh, I have many offspring. I have been somewhat busy in my life.
Of course you do, you handsome little devil. So you're telling me that angel not only wants to hunt my baby, my little squeakums, but wants to hurt its kids as well. All right, guys, we got to do something about this angel. I think it's got to go down. We've got 3 days. That means we've got 3 days to prepare. So, ruins to the north. There is an archaeologist there. From what I heard, they're really good with rocks, and maybe we can use rocks to kill this angel.
does anyone remember how long it takes to get to the castle from here?
I can tell you what will take longer, us talking and not walking towards that castle, and I'm going to grab Zell's hand and Boglak's hand and just start pulling them. Let me roll a d4 here. Start going south. I start heading in the exact opposite direction from the way that we need to go, but for Glut it's moving, so that's progress.
Glut, I feel
Yeah.
I feel bad tricking you because Plaguestifer is. What I will say is, I'm not lying when I say Plaguestifer and all of us are in danger.
Yeah, you
Because
just
we're
said
gonna
that
be
the angel wants to
facing up
kill
against this
my
angel.
child.
The angel's not personally after Plaguestifer. It was a metaphor. I thought I'd capitalize on it, but I don't want to trick you. I want you to know fully what's happening.
I'm
I feel
gonna
that's better in the long run.
I'm gonna try and reach up to put a hand on Boglak's shoulder, but really just kind of lay it on his peck and be like, Boglak, I know that I can get quite emotional when it comes to the safety of Plaguestifer, but you don't need to lie to me. I know this. I could tell the way that Angel was looking at my boy that he wants him dead. So I promise I'll keep a cool head. But when I see him, I will rip his wings over his back and then smother them and then use the little feathers to make arrows for Zell. And just my face starts going like pure red. You know what? I'm gonna expend one of my rages, just totally to waste on that, and I'm just gonna drop down to the floor and start punching the dirt repeatedly.
Zell's gonna be like, Glut, remember we need to walk to the castle. Remember to save
North.
Yeah.
north, by the way, and she's gonna turn everyone round to head in that direction instead.
Yeah, Zell mentioning action actually kind of really totally snaps Glow out of their rage for a moment and goes, yeah, okay, I've got to channel my anger towards something productive. Okay. Glow immediately starts heading south again.
Glut, north, this way, we're going this way.
Hold on.
My
maybe-
bad. And I'll follow Zell.
Wait, should we go back
Maybe it is
to the
better
village
to go
and
back to town. Get
should we go back and
horses.
warn them? How would we tell an
I feel
entire
like
town
we'll
that they're
spread
gonna die in
panic.
3 days?
You don't. And this is a lesson I learned when my old druid master passed away. Like I said, suddenly.
Wait, the guy that choked on a nut.
The guy that choked on a nut. You see Boglak wipes away a tear. Yes, as you so aptly put it. The great master that choked on a nut. We thought, how are we going to tell the order? We didn't. What we did is we brought a new person in, and then with the announcement of a new druid master, it was just sort of understood the previous one must have died. Therefore, saving legacy. Therefore, when we deal with this
completely
angel, the
different-
town will know that they're safe.
That's
It
a
makes
brilliant
sense.
idea,
No,
Boglak.
but this is a completely different situation. We could, if we get, there could be fighters. Okay, they did say they were a town of humble people, but there could be fighters in that town who would help. We cannot take on a thousands of year old. I'm not even really sure if he is an angel at this point. We can't take him on by ourselves.
I think
That's why I
Boglak
feel
made
like
a
we
really
need to
good
find the
point
sword.
about the replacing the master that choked on a nut. If we just go to a different village and bring them here, after the angel kills the village, we can just put a new village there, and then there's no harm done.
There's harm done, Glue. Like, hundreds of people will have died.
But the village will still be there. You know, we could go back to
We are never going back there. We're not
Loch
going back to
Ilven.
Valor.
Yeah, let's go back to Loch Ilven.
We're not going back to Loch Ilven.
Yeah, come on. We can see plagues for kids. Think how cute that'd be.
I am not going back there.
Well, obviously, I'm not like the smartest one here. Maybe like second smartest, but not like the smartest. But you know, if that angel was locked away, surely there must be some sort of remnant of, I don't know, knowledge around here about how they done it in the first place. Maybe we can try and do it again.
That's a good idea. I like that idea.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
I don't know. Well, if like we, I don't know, bring all the townspeople into this cave and like lure them back here.
Zell's gonna get really excited for a second and be like, oh, maybe there's a library.
In the cave, I had a search around that cave. There was definitely not a library.
I mean, in the town, maybe there's some kind of like library or somewhere where they keep knowledge, and we could find something. I hope that while we're all having this conversation, we are still walking. By the way, are we still walking?
The question is where you're walking to. So right now you're at Erlenfall Cave.
The castle.
You've got to cross back over the river, which means that you've got to follow the road for at least about half a day to the bridge over the river.
Oh, okay. So we can make our decision then.
At that point, you can either continue on to the town, cut cross country, or continue on to the town and then take the road from there. And I would say, to be honest, dealing with the kind of the rough overland travel of just avoiding the road would probably take as long as going back to Kinranach and then taking the road.
So we should just go back to Kinranach then.
If it says the sun sets 3 times, and I'm guessing tonight's sunset. In fact, what time is it right now?
With the last climb up to the cave, through the waterfall, exploring the room, guardian fight, and then into the place, I'd say probably a little bit before noon still. It's maybe maybe between 10 and 11 at the moment.
I'm concerned about the bandits as well. There's bandits near the castle, and if we take the road, we're definitely going to be a target for the bandits. If we go through the country, then we might take them by surprise. My ideal situation would be getting them on side to help us fight the angel.
You think bandits would
I don't know.
You think they'd suddenly become
I just feel like more
fight?
bodies on this side is going to be a good thing.
Do you think
they might be friendly bandits? You never know. I'm just saying.
So do you think they
making a snap judgment?
I think my snap judgment came from the fact that multiple people told me that they were robbing people on the road.
Zell, you are a person. Why not we go the road, and if you get stalked by the bandits, you can use your feminine wiles to win them over to our side.
Why do I have to use my feminine wiles? Can't you use your feminine wiles? Why does it have to come down to me?
I don't know. I think I would get too angry and stab one of them. So I don't know. I think you're the better talker person.
Okay, we'll try it. I really don't like the idea, but
You're the one that said you wanted to hear the bandits.
I mean, I did. Okay, fine. Let's do that. So yeah, we'll head back to the town and we'll take the road up to the castle.
We've got 2.5 days, from what I can gather.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of time if we're involving like traveling here and there. So I think that's why we just need to
just do it. I think as well, I'm wondering if it might be a good idea to ask Tam Tamsin, our lovely storyteller. No, come on. If we ask him,
very good idea.
He was lovely. He's made us dinner and we never had it. We just left.
You know what? He reminded me of the druid master who came in after the beloved one. There's something about him that was off. But anyway.
I wonder if there's someone in the town who might know a bit more about this legend than he did.
Yeah, like the legend's obviously somewhat false because the legend
is very false.
The king was gifted, or the brother of the king was gifted the sword by the angel. Mm-hmm. Whereas from what the angel said so far, it seems like they did not want anything to do with Rannoch. So it seems like Rannoch or followers of Rannoch locked that angel in there, which is what I imagine the armor was. The question is the sword then able to protect Rannoch's bloodline? Because it is meant to come back, is it not, at a time when
The valley needs it the
the
most.
people of the valley needs it the most, which I feel like an angel coming to
Kill
help you
everyone.
all is a time that you could need it.
What if we're the sword?
Maybe. True. In a way, Zell is our blade with the sharp wit. You are our pommel, and then I'm
Sturdy.
the other
The
part
shaft.
of the sword.
The shaft. The shaft.
Shaft.
You're the shaft.
Oh, you see Boglak looks kind of disappointed, like, no, like,
No,
maybe I'm the...
maybe they'll put a statue up in your honor saying the shaft of Kilrannoch.
Zell is
No.
like nearly crying with laughter.
Gloat has no idea about like the dirty joke behind this, so just doesn't get it. He goes, yeah, you like Kilrannoch needs like a great shaft, and Boglak, I think that's you. Be the shaft this city needs.
See Boglak's just thinking about what would happen if his people heard of him out in the world and he'd become celebrated as the shaft of some city.
You imagine your wife getting the news. You're married to the Shaft?
The great shaft of Kilrannoch.
As you're pondering that, you're heading back down the road,
We are,
crossing
yeah.
the old stone bridge, heading back towards Kinrannoch. It's not a speedy journey. You're moving at a fast pace, but it does take most of the day to get back to the village. Following, essentially, actually, ironically, going south for quite a lot of this journey, going southwest before eventually coming to the town of Kinrannoch. As you're coming down back through the hills, back towards Kinrannoch, you can see the sun is sinking a little bit lower, kind of coming down towards the mountains that hem in the western side of the glen. The sort of dull, bloody red light spilling over and painting the eastern mountains from which you've just come with these lurid shades of red and orange as you come down through the gathering dusk towards the town. The first lights beginning to twinkle through the darkness. You can hear pleasant music drifting through the air from the tavern. It sounds like there's a minstrel in. You can hear the laughter of a few people winding their way home from the fields after a hard day's work. There's just this sense of peace in the air as you return to the village.
As they get closer and this kind of lovely, oblivious town is, Zell's kind of be like, I feel a bit sick knowing these people are going to die in 3 days' time. 2, really.
You see that feeling you have? We do not want them having it. It will just
I know,
cause
I
panic.
realise that.
It will cause people to leave, people to stay. There's no need for it. We can sort it. If it
Also-
comes to it, then we warn them. But
Also, I mean, the angel said the mission was to rid the entire bloodline of Rannoch Kilfarson. How do we know that everybody stayed in this village? Like, this could be way bigger than we even think. He might not stop at the village.
I mean, maybe that's what he's doing just now. He's flying off and getting the stragglers. Then he's going to come back and finish his mission here with like one big fell swoop. It's actually a good point. You think he has
He
some
said
sort of
he
like
was giving
send?
us time
Why would he give us time
to
though?
get out of the valley,
Oh,
so we wouldn't be here
okay.
when it went down.
Okay. All right. Well, I have some. I have a thing that I need to do. So can I go and do that thing? I'll meet up you. I'll catch you guys up shortly.
What thing?
It won't take long. Just a thing.
okay, but we need to look again. Remember, I'm not tricking you, but Placifer is somewhat in danger.
I know. I think this will be beneficial to the journey. I just don't want to go back to the tavern. I know Paddy said we're all good, but I still have a little bit of guilt.
Okay.
So where are you just going to sleep outside?
No, I've got a thing. But you said I can go, and Glit's gonna run into the center of town.
Sprints
Zell's
off
gonna kinda-
into the gloom.
Zell's gonna kind of rub her temples and then head to the tavern because she's thinking that maybe they can ask some more questions in there, speak to some people who might know where, like, they could, if there's any kind of documents or something like that from 100,000 years ago.
Boglach, where are you going?
I'm gonna drop into Tam Tamson. I'm gonna see what happens there.
You know that Tam
If
Tamson.
he's not in the tavern.
You know that he lives opposite the tavern.
Yeah.
And so you head over, you see a little, quite kind of humble-looking cottage opposite the tavern across the street. A little brass plaque on the door saying Tamson.
and there's a light on inside, and the smell of a good mutton stew drifting out onto the cool evening air. Zell, you head over to the tavern. Beautiful new door just in place. This thing looks pretty good. Definitely a step up from the last one. Step through the door, there's a sort of rush of warm air, the smell of cooking meat, the smell of beer and wine, laughter and the music swelling ahead of you. Gloot, you dart off on your own mysterious mission. Let's start with Gloot. I'm kind of curious. What's Gloot doing?
Because Gloot never found the magic sword, they're convinced in the graveyard and Gloot's going to do some more grave robbing.
Oh my god.
But Gloot knew that everyone wasn't impressed, so they didn't want to say anything.
Gloot, you go straight back to the graveyard. Night is coming on. There's still a bit of light in the sky. The sun just this kind of dull red orb over in the west as you head into the slightly overgrown graveyard next to this little chapel. As you head in, can you give me a perception check?
That is a 7.
A7, you are focused. You are dialed in on the task at hand, and how are you going to go about selecting a grave and then digging it up?
I'm going to look for I'm going to search for what looks to be the biggest grave.
You search for the biggest grave. You find a very large slab, and possibly the reason it's so big is that it's covered in writing. It's covered in text engraved upon it. Someone else might stop to read that text, but you don't need to do that. So
the text is probably too simplistic and insult Gloat's intelligence. So Gloat's going to pull out the compelling argument and start just chipping away at the soil.
You start chipping away at the soil, focused in, and with that very poor perception check, you don't hear as someone approaches you through the graveyard. You just hear the sort of from just behind you.
I turn over, still mid dig, I'm not slowing down at all.
There is an elderly half-orc standing behind you, wearing a long white robe. And around his neck hanging a little silver chain with a set of scales hanging on it. The same set of scales that were engraved on the lintel above the door of the chapel. He looks towards you and goes, "Can I help you?"
If you have a shovel, then yeah.
You appear to be digging up the grave of quite a large family that died in a terrible boating accident 7 years ago. Can I ask why?
I'm doing it to save the town.
I think you're grave robbing.
Do you know what's buried in here?
Yes.
Is it a magic sword?
No.
Gloat is now going to stop digging and say, can you point me in the direction of which grave has the magic sword in it?
My child, none of these graves have magic swords in them. They're the graves of farmers, merchants, and their families.
Okay, well, maybe the prophecy, maybe it mistook what a sword was. Any magic pitchforks? Any magic scythes? Any magical harvesting tools?
Why don't you step into the chapel and we can have a talk about it there? You seem well-intentioned, but confused.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I have some burning questions about this place I need answered.
Splendid. I'm Brother Angeles. Pleasure to meet you.
Oh, like Angel. That's really funny that you say that. No, actually, no, it's not. It's not. Nice to meet you, Mr. Angeles. I'm Gloat, like the goddess of strength. Huge fan.
Are you a follower of such a goddess?
Oh, I was named after such a goddess. That's what people in my village told me that's what the goddess of strength was. Never heard reference of them ever again, but yeah. So are you a smart one that knows a lot about history? This is the longest conversation that Gloat's had with someone that's not been Zeller Boglak in a long time, and they're starting to get really nervous about it. So they're starting to go. So do you know history and things like past stuff that happened before?
The old half-orc leads you, if you're willing, around to the front of the graveyard and the chapel, and into the chapel. During the day it was shut down, kind of boarded up. Now lit by several warm candles inside. He leads you through into this small, humble space, quite unadorned hallway. Small wooden pews lined up on either side towards a stone altar, and at the stone altar is a figure, a tall, angelic-looking, sort of female-looking figure, holding up in one hand a set of scales and on the other a sword, and at her feet a number of small candles flickering around. And the half-orc kind of sits down slightly uncomfortably on the edge of the stone dais and says, "So you're looking for history? Let me just make a stab at this. Are you some kind of treasure hunter? You're looking for the sword of Rannoch?"
Yeah, exactly. I am looking for the sword of Rannoch. I'm not a treasure hunter though. I'm a hunter of sorts, actually, but not of treasure.
I understand the impulse to dig into the past, but I will say this. A young woman came through here about a week ago looking for similar things, and I told her what I tell everyone. We have our stories, we have our little myths that we hold on to, but at the end of the day, maybe there's something more valuable than treasure that we would be all better looking for, and that is the strength within us to serve a god, to pursue our faith, whether it is Glut, the goddess of strength, Tyr, the goddess of justice, whatever it may be. We must look for a purpose that is higher than material things. Don't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. See that statue? Is that sword magical?
No, that's just a statue. But it's a statue of Tyr, my goddess, and it is the sword is more symbolic than anything else.
Glut's gonna go over and inspect the sword in the statue. Is it just like a stone sword?
It seems to be a stone sword. It appears to be kind of carved from the same single slab from which the entire statue is carved.
Is there any way to remove the sword from this statue?
Oh, child, no, it's all part of the one piece. It was carved by a very eminent mason from Clan Culfane.
Okay, so you mentioned the sword of Rannoch, and I agree that, we all should have a higher calling. I'm currently pursuing one just now, but some people's higher calling is staying alive for a long period of time, and to that end, I need a magic sword.
Many have searched for it, but I'm afraid so far no one has found it, and perhaps that's because the hour of need has not yet come. You see, they say that it will not be found until the valley is in need of aid, and thankfully we live in peaceful times. The only relic we have is the horn. And he points up, and you can see hanging above the dais is a sort of very old, a very large horn, banded with sort of rune-carved silver. It looks like some kind of old battle horn that would have been blown for a charge or something like that.
Is that horn, can I rent it momentarily?
No, you can't. It's a relic, a religious relic of great significance, but it's said that is a horn that was blown by the angel at the moment of Rannoch's victory.
Can I blow it? No? You can watch. I'll promise to put it back right afterwards.
It's a religious relic. You can't blow it. But I'm just saying that's the only one we have. We don't have any swords here, I'm afraid. But listen, if you want to come back, I'm going to be shutting up for now, but if you want to come back in the morning, we can talk more extensively about this. I can bring it down for you and show it to you.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Do you need to shop because of that leak?
What leak?
I'm gonna point to the corner behind him and say that small leak over there.
Glances over and goes.
As he glances over, I run and I blow the horn.
So the horn is hanging high up on the wall. You could attempt to climb up the statue, jump from there, grab the horn, make a dash for it if you want.
So is the horn is it? Oh, this is so dumb. Is the horn near the edge of a wall? Because remember, I do have my punching daggers, which are now climbing daggers.
So yeah, the horn is hanging. If you imagine for example, in a Catholic church where the crucifix would hang high up on the wall, it's essentially up at that height, hanging to the wall.
Can I try and climb up that wall and blow the horn?
You can absolutely try to do that.
So can I? Do I need to roll some sort of check to climb the wall, or? There's
technically, you'll move at half your speed, and you can just punch your daggers in and start climbing. As you start to do that, you hear an irate voice behind you going, "It's a religious art. I'm calling the constable." And the half orc springs up and hurples down out of the chapel outside as you scramble up to grab the horn.
Can I try and just like hang onto the wall and put my mouth onto the mouthpiece and blow?
Yeah, you hold onto the wall, get your mouth up around this horn. This thing is old. It is covered in dust. It tastes very kind of sour on your lips. Can you give me a straight strength check as you attempt to blast into this horn?
That is a 22.
You get up there and you take a deep breath and blow into this thing. You get the impression that this is made for someone with bigger lungs than you. With this titanic effort, you blow into it, and a kind of sound comes out of it, echoing around the hall, louder than you expected, but probably only like a little bit of the strength of that of the full blast. You kind of lick the dust off your lips.
Am I suddenly flushed with the knowledge of Rannick's sword?
No.
Okay. In which case, Glut knows they're in trouble, so Glut's going to do the one thing that worked last time. They're going to fall off the wall. Like, they're going to, like, put their feet under the wall to fall back, so, like, hit the floor. They're going to, as they're falling, they're going to, like, shove their tongue into their teeth and make sure they bite their tongue really hard so their mouth starts bleeding profusely. And as they're on the floor, they're going to start, like, shaking and, like, freaking out.
Okay. As you start writhing on the ground, shaking, we jump back over to the tavern as Zell steps through the door into this warmly lit space. Paddy looks up and goes, "Hello! How are you? How was your trip?"
It's really, saw the cave. Nothing
No
unusual
sign
happened.
of that magic sword, then?
No, sadly not. Can
No.
I have a really strong drink, please?
Oh, of course. Wash away the disappointment of a treasure hunter empty-handed. And he sets down a little glass of quite dark-looking whiskey, slides it over. That is strong stuff. That's from the Orkin Isles. They know how to brew a good malt.
Zell's face like flashes at the Orkin Isles, but she keeps it cool. And she could take the whiskey and just knock it back in one.
You take a deep breath, knock that whiskey back, this burning sensation running down your throat. Can you give me a Constitution saving throw?
14.
Warming, pleasant, but not too intoxicating, just a pleasant little kind of heat and a little bit of realisation at the end of the day. So, where are your companions?
I don't actually know where either of them are. Because as far as Zell's concerned, Boglak was walking behind her into the tavern, and now he's not here. So, not really 100% sure. I have a question.
Yeah?
How old is that statue?
Which one?
The one in the centre of town. How old? How old is it?
Well, not my expertise. Probably better asking Tam, but according to Tam, it's as old as the town itself.
Which would be like over 1,000 years, right? Like 1,000 years?
Thereabouts, yeah, give or take. We didn't really keep a good calendar until about 600 years ago.
Where does Tam get his information from?
I don't know. Tam's,
I realise I should ask him, but...
not an official storyteller, but he's someone who keeps an ear to the ground. His father and his grandmother especially was known for her tales, and I imagine came down in the family.
And is there anywhere in town that you keep, like, town records? Do you do that here?
I'm afraid not. I mean, between ourselves, there's more than a few people in this town who wouldn't be able to read any records if we did keep any. We're simple folk here, and we don't really go in for the whole books and learning and academia, that kind of thing.
So there's no one?
Frankly...
No family heirlooms? You had a family heirloom passed down, which I am still so sorry that we...
Yes, I did. Sorry, yes, there's no
sorry.
family heirlooms. I mean, aside from my map passed down through the generations, obviously Tam is kind of our local repository of knowledge, as close as we have to a library. There's an old, there's the horn, the horn in the chapel. That's meant to be quite old. Nothing springs to mind. No magic swords, if that's what you're asking for.
No, I just wondered if there was any kind of records of the town, or, you said something about a horn?
Oh yes, there's a very old, like a war horn of some kind. Hangs up in the chapel, to the Tears Chapel, and apparently it was the horn blown by the angel at the great moment of triumph many years ago.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you. How much do I owe you for the whiskey?
Oh, he's about, you can almost say he's about to like kind of wave it away and go, it's on the house, and then he kind of like glances over and you see this kind of red, tattered mass of paper lying behind the bar, and he goes, 2 silver.
She's gonna slide that across, and then she's gonna take the non-blood-stained map because they got 2, didn't they? And she's going to be like, I know this is not a family heirloom, but maybe one day it can be, and give it to him.
Oh, that's very kind of you. I appreciate it. And I suppose a family heirloom has to start somewhere.
Exactly.
He puts it aside. He goes, I appreciate that. I know that you and your friends mean well, and sometimes, the exuberance of youth can come into a little bit of conflict with the traditional types like myself, but I am glad you're here. It's nice to have some outsiders sticking around for once, rather than just going off up the valley on their travels to Dunarden or wherever else they go. I tell you what, if you want someone who knows a bit about history, get a hold of that Mara woman, the archaeologist. That's the one. She knows a thing or two, and she had all the scrolls, the little the books with her, all that kind of thing.
Thank you. Yeah, we were thinking about heading up to the castle anyway, so we'll
be careful.
run into her.
If you're going up that way, you know about the bandits.
Yeah, I know about the bandits. She's gonna look a bit like downhearted at that. How many bandits do we think there are?
Hard to say. We know that there is their leader, the Bloody Bard, is quite a formidable fellow, but they might have any number under their belt. At least, I imagine, 6 or 7.
And how long have they been up there?
Quite a while. They came in just before last winter. Pretty quiet over the winter, but once the thaw came, they started to get more active. Merchants on the roads, the people, they're opportunists. They started taking what they wanted. It doesn't impact us too much, but if they ever came down south, I think I said this before, but we only have about 30 able-bodied souls here who could pick up a sword and fight. Not enough if we were really set to it.
But there are 30.
Thereabouts, yes.
And do people have swords here?
They have pots and pans, spades, pitchforks.
She got kind of excited, like hopeful for a second, and then she's gonna be like, "Okay, thanks. I'm gonna go take a walk."
Oh, but don't turn your nose up at a pitchfork or a pot and a pan. Do you see old Toby over there?
Gonna look over.
There is like a little gnome sitting in the corner, massive belly, kind of like one hand draped over the belly, going, "Oh, Lord, I tell you, I couldn't go to the battle for a while. They said, 'Are you the suckling pig?' I said, 'Oh, no.'" He goes, "Old Toby is one of the finest fighters in this town. I once saw him beat a pigeon to death with a pan."
A pigeon?
Yes, the pigeon was stealing his grain and he wasn't having it. The pigeon was already dead. It turned out the grain had some kind of bacteria in it, but he hid it afterwards.
Great. That sounds great.
Those bandits should watch out for us.
With that kind of like fake laugh, she's gonna just turn around and walk back out of the tavern.
You step out into the night air and you see off in the distance someone in a sort of older half-orc gentleman in a white robe hurrying by with a sort of middle-aged human man wearing a sort of leather armor, small steel cap, carrying a cudgel, hurrying in the direction of the graveyard. As that's happening, we jump over to the house of... pardon me?
I'm just going to say Zelle's going to ignore that and she's going back to look at the statue.
You head away from the graveyard and back towards where you started this adventure. At that moment, in the house of Tam Tamson, Boglach, you're being brought in by a very enthusiastic Tam who's going, "Well, I wasn't sure if you're coming back, but it's a grand thing to see. Don't worry about last night, all the more for me. Have a seat. Starts like, shoving you into a chair, even though he comes up to like barely above your like waist. He's, "How did you get on up at the cave?"
Tam, the reason why I came here is because I feel like if either of my other companions came, they'd want pleasantries, but it's not that I dislike you, it's just that I don't really care for your opinion of me, so I'm going to get straight to the point. Firstly, I want to ask, do you always tell the truth with your stories? As to your knowledge, the stories you tell are true?
Truth is a funny thing when it comes to a good tale, if you know what I mean.
But I understand, and that's what I'm trying to see. I feel like at this point, even I'm doing it, you laugh. Pleasantries. I don't want pleasantries. To your knowledge, are these the true stories you tell?
I tell the stories that were passed down to me. The stories that I've heard told over many years, many generations have passed these stories down. Do I think they're accurate? No. Along the way, embellishments happen. People put their own spin on things. It's impossible to tell what's true and what isn't. All the stories have a couple of core elements, and I would be happy to say that those are most likely true. But if you're asking for a certainty, I cannot give you that.
I appreciate that. I think I completely agree with you in that sense. In terms of core elements, then, what do you believe to be true? Did Rannoch win the battle?
Well, it seems Rannoch won the battle. It seems that he died in the attempt. There's differing tales of how he died, but the most likely explanation is that he was wounded in the battle and succumbed to his wounds afterwards. He was succeeded by 13 sons, and it's likely that some of them were involved in the burial, engaged with the angel. We don't really know, but that seems to be the way it went down. I'm fairly confident that he did die in the fight in some capacity.
And are you fairly confident that his forces won the battle?
Well, yes. I mean, this town was founded by the survivors, and I assume that they must have won the fight, driven off the Lantricians or whoever it was that they were fighting, and then in the aftermath settled down.
Any mention of demons? Even in tales that you don't tell.
Funny you should say that. So actually, my great-great-grandmother, who I only knew for a little time, she had a version of the story that was a wee bit different. The way I tell it, they were fighting Lantricians. This was around the time that Lantris had occupied most of the Highlands. And so what's most likely true is that they were fighting Lantris, and that's what happened. But the way my great-great-grandmother told it, it was demons they were fighting. That the angel came down to turn the tide against some kind of demon incursion. Have you heard of the Winter's Grim?
No, I have not.
Old story, very old. It tells of a demon of winter, a demon of ice and cold, and this demon would sometimes come down from the mountains in the far north, bringing a long winter to the lands, and that only a few very strong warriors could survive the onslaught of the snow and the ice. They always said it was Lantris in the south, Winter's Grim in the north. You always had to try and survive between the two. So that we have a long history of demon lore in these lands. And one version of the story, it was some kind of demon war that was going on.
That Rannoch and his forces were fighting?
Oh, presumably, yeah, it would have been the Kelfersons on one side and maybe the forces of the Winter's Grim on the other.
Right.
Because remember, an angel... Exactly, an angel wouldn't get involved in just any old fight. It has to be a real cause of justice and moral certitude. So perhaps the angel came down to help Rannoch turn the tide against a horde of demons. Then again, that's one telling of the story among many.
No, I appreciate that. Where was Rannoch buried?
Well, that's it. Nobody knows. If we could find the burial, you might be able to find the sword. I take it you didn't.
What did your grandma think, or your great-great-grandma think Rannoch might be buried? Did she have any theories? I imagine it's a topic of good discussion over tea.
To be honest, as I say, I didn't know her long. I heard a few of her stories, but I never heard where she thought the body might be buried. I take it then from your questionings, not in the cave.
No.
Shame.
And I don't mean to be so harsh to you, because I'm just looking for treasure. It's a more serious matter. And though I understand that you talk to pretty much everybody in this town, and this might be a very bad decision, I feel like you should know that something's happening at the moment that we need to get to the bottom of this tale. I don't want to tell you anymore. We need to get to the bottom of this tale. And what you've told me is at least a good amount of help, because the tale as it's told to you is a lie, or the tale that you tell is propaganda. It's not an outright lie, but it's propaganda. We need to find out what's actually happened here. Because some tales would say that the demons were actually on Rannoch's side, and that the angel might have been there to stop Rannoch.
No such tales myself.
I know, but imagine if you believed in a tale like that, the harm you'd want to do to people that you thought harboured or followed demons. I mean, God forbid if the angel came back, am I right? In that case.
Well, not to throw aspersions, but I think your tale might be, I mean, it's drawing from air. You know, I've got quite a long history of storytelling behind me, a lot of different tales that boil down in the crucible to leave an essence, which is tried and true, and frankly, which people in this town hold quite dear to their identity, their sense of self, their sense of heritage. What you're saying, it's fanciful, but
I appreciate that. Do you know what? When I tell the tale that I'm currently involved in to my children and their children, I'll be sure that they continue the actual tale I told them. Like your grandma told you the original tale, and make sure that they don't just change it for no reason. You've just made up stuff, and your own grandma told you the story. Boglack's gonna stand up and be like, you talk about this verbal history that you passed down like it's some mighty sword. Do you know what? You're nothing but a shaft. That's what you are. I'm gonna walk out. Changing your grandmother's tale and then saying I pull from here.
Straight out, leaving Tam just sitting there, like spoon halfway to his mouth with some mutton stew in it, going, look of absolute shock on his face as he's straight out into the night air.
I walk out and I'm just going, it's ridiculous, Sel. It's ridiculous.
Are you coming up to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you're so annoyed about something that you're just...
It's going to cut right through and she's going to be like, Boglack, I've had an idea. Standing underneath the statue. She's going to be like, if you were some kind of and there was a magical sword that's going to save the valley, you might not bury it. What if that's the sword? I know it's a statue, but like, what if magic? It's right in the center of the village. It's been here for over 1,000. It's been here since the town was born. It's been here for 1,000 years.
I mean, at this point,
I'm really grasping at straws, but I think I might be onto something.
I just wish we knew somebody who would randomly climb up a statue and tear down a sword for us, but thankfully our companion Glut's with us, so I say we go for it.
I was going to say, the tavern owner mentioned this really old horn, and I'd quite like to go and have a look at it. He said it was like the only other kind of old thing in this place, so it's got to be related. I'd like to go and see it.
Speaking of, let's jump back over to the chapel, where writhing on the floor is Glut. Glut, you're on your own in the chapel. Do you want to wait until the constable arrives, or are you trying to get away at this point?
No, so Glut, for a very brief period, thought that they were traveling with a trustworthy individual, but turned out to be a con artist. So I'm doing what's called the fake possession, which is it's basically a get out of jail free card when you're in any religious situation. So I'm currently pretending to be possessed by a demon, or fighting possession, hence why my mouth is profusely bleeding.
As you're doing that, the door bursts open, and you can hear just in a voice. The constable kind of hurries forward. This very tired-looking, middle-aged human kind of crouches down over you and goes, "Well, now what's all this?"
I'm just going to keep doing it, because people get very uncomfortable of it after a while.
I think he's had some of Toby's infected grain. We need to get him out of here.
And he, can you give me a performance check?
That is a 9.
He kind of like starts to pull you up, and then as he gets close to you, he goes,
"Wait a minute, is this an act?"
and starts to kind of shake you.
When they start shaking, I'm going to go, Taliakumbana, Taliakumbana, and just start writhing even more. To the point where I'm bashing my head off the floor. I'm hurting myself doing this, basically.
The priest starts passionately praying and going, "Dear goddess of justice, bring to us now the security of your ways and the power of your anger." And the consul is like, "I don't get paid enough for this," and starts trying to drag you down. They're basically together while the priest prays. They're going to try to pull you out of the church and into the street outside.
So this is the hook, line, and sinker. When I start hearing the prayer, I want to close my mouth. Can I roll some sort of strength check to bite my cheeks as hard as humanly possible? Can I roll an attack roll on myself?
Absolutely, like an unarmed strike.
Like an unarmed strike, yeah. As I try and chomp my cheeks. Basically, I'm trying to draw blood into my mouth, essentially. That is a 23 to hit.
Bite into your cheek, blood fills your mouth.
So as I hear the praying afterwards, I'm going to shoot upright, pretend I'm going and basically spew the blood like all down me, basically, and turn to the priest and say, "Your holy incantation must have purged my body from some foul, grave-robbing, horn-blowing, tear-hating demon." And I'm going to like start like growling, like, "Thank you so much, thank you."
Give me a deception check.
Can I make? There's no difference, but can I say persuasion? Because Glut now kind of believes that they might have been possessed for a moment, so doesn't believe they're lying.
Go for it. Glut's lost in their own sauce.
That's a 14.
We will just roll it and find out how convinced these people are. The priest, I'm afraid, is not remotely convinced on a 19. The constable is actually convinced on a 13. As you say that, like, the priest kind of begins to like trail off and is looking at you and goes, "I don't know what it is that brought you to my church, but I'm starting to suspect it has a lot more to stealing and reselling relics than it has to do with religious fervour or civic duty." And at the same moment, the constable goes, "It's a miracle. The demons have been cast out by the power of Tyr." And he starts like, does like a warding sign in front of himself and goes, Will you address the town?
Me?
Tell them that Tyr has worked a miracle among us this night.
I'm going to stand up straight because Glut does believe that Tyr is performing our call. I'd be more than happy to.
You hear the priest going, "Oh, come on, it's clearly not." And the constable is like, "Come with me." And as you, Boglach and Zell, you're hurrying up as you see Glut emerging covered in blood, with the constable, instead of like, at first you think, "Oh god, Glut's being like arrested or something." Instead, the constable is like looking down at Glut with like wide-eyed, there are tears in the constable's eyes. This irate priest behind just kind of like rubbing his eyes and wandering off into the temple. You come out into the streets and the constable is like, "I think we should go to the tavern and tell them, these, I don't know who you are, but you need to know that Tyr has visited upon this town tonight. I don't know your name.
Glut.
Glut here was possessed by demons, and then in the name of Tyr, the demons went out of her. I saw it.
Zell's gonna like pause, glance at Boglach, glance back and be like, when did this happen just now?
I know you have a lot of questions, but please, I must address the town. They need to know about the work of Tyr.
The constable's going, it's the first time something like this has happened in my lifetime, but it's this town. Things like these, it happens in this town.
He's leading you towards Paddy's Tavern.
Like,
I'm following suit. Like, Glut's never really been religious before. They've never really understood the concept of religion. But now they think they might get it, and they're like walking with like passion, with further. Like they feel confident in the existence of this higher being right now. They can't wait to spread the word.
Boglach and Zell, are you coming along?
Zell is not. Zell wants to go and look at the horn.
I'm gonna try and draw Glut back a wee bit and just say, Glut, you remember that there's a certain time crunch to what we're doing here.
Of
like,
course,
I know addressing a crowd.
But maybe Tyr is the sword we're looking for. Please, brother. I will catch up with you shortly. My church needs me.
Zell has an idea. She's going to come running forward, and she's going to say to the constable, instead of just speaking to the tavern, why don't you announce that Glut addresses the town tomorrow morning in front of the statue? And bring everyone there. This sounds like a huge event.
Give me a persuasion check.
13.
I'm just going to roll for him. He got a 13 as well. He looks at you and goes,
no. Give Glut some time to rest after her ordeal.
It's not for me to say. Glut, tell me, does this word need to go out to the people tonight? Or is it better to gather them tomorrow in the light of the morning?
My brother, both. And I head towards the tavern.
The constable goes, "Praise be to Tyr," and
praise be to Tyr.
As you guys set off, you just hear a voice go, "Praise be to Tyr," and you turn and you see the priest sort of walking slowly out of the chapel, his hands upraised, tears streaming down his face. He goes, "A miracle has been done this night."
Zell's going to turn around and go back over to the the temple, the brother.
The brother comes
Like-
out, reaches out a trembling hand, puts it on your shoulder, and goes, "You have come at such an auspicious time. It was so beautiful.
What happened?
He was so beautiful.
What happened?
Came for the horn just now. He took it. I took it down from the wall to see that it hadn't been damaged, and he was there. He took it from me, and he said that he would blow it tomorrow. It is a blessed day." And he sort of sinks to his knees as tears run down from his face.
So someone beat us to it.
Damn it!
And on that note, we will end tonight's session. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to Jessica Bowen for the wonderful character art, art.of.job on Instagram. Thank you to Nerdiest Maximus Studios, from whose Patreon we get all the music that you hear throughout our show. And we will see you next week.